Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful today. Ridge's jealous outbursts are Nick's grand gesture for Brooke. Nick Marones will have a great gesture for Brooke Logan as Ridge Forrester's jealousy boils. Nothing is preventing a fantastic trip to Italy now that word is getting out about Liam Spencer's miraculous recovery. Eric Forrester will therefore make a major speech and insist that the trip continues. Eric will exaggerate how much fun they will have and discuss all the exciting things that lie ahead. Eric will give a few more clues regarding his belief that Ridge and Brooke ought to get back together, which is no secret. But Nick has been pressuring Brooke to come to Italy with him so they can combine work and play. As Nick attempts to persuade Brooke that this is a smart idea, it turns out that he will make a big show of it on Tuesday's B&B program. It appears that Nick's amorous attempts will make Brooke swoon and make her question whether starting a new chapter with him is the best course of action. The idea of starting over with someone who isn't rejecting her like Ridge will tempt Brooke in part. Ridge will become envious as soon as Brooke informs Eric and Ridge that Nick is also going to Italy. Ridge and Nick are already at odds, and Brooke's information will only make Ridge even more irate. Nick will undoubtedly be a part of this Italian journey, even though Ridge won't want him around when they travel to Naples and Capri. Don't discount Ridge and his own romance with Brooke just yet, though there will be special episodes in the future that will strengthen Brooke's bond with Nick. For the time being, Ridge will continue to put off a reunion with Brooke, but it's clear that he still secretly desires her. Ridge won't understand that until some shockers from Italy occur, so keep an eye out for all the surprises that lie ahead. Eric Forrester's sun-drenched living room, thick with the scent of expensive leather and lingering aftershave, crackled not just with the news of Liam Spencer's miraculous recovery, but with the palpable, unspoken shift in relational tectonic plates it precipitated. With the perceived obstacle to familial harmony seemingly dissolved, Eric, the silver-haired patriarch radiating benevolent authority, seized the moment with the flourish of a seasoned conductor. His voice, warm and resonant, cut through the relieved murmurs, delivering a pronouncement that felt less like an invitation and more like a royal decree. The long-planned, much-disrupted Forrester family trip to Italy was emphatically, irrevocably back on. He painted vivid word pictures of Neapolitan sunshine warming ancient cobblestones, the azure embrace of the Tyrrhenian Sea around Capri's cliffs, the heady aromas of espresso and simmering ragu, and the shared laughter echoing through Renaissance piazzas, a tapestry woven with threads of unity, relaxation, and, he couldn't resist weaving in with pointed glances towards his son and the woman who had been his daughter-in-law more times than anyone cared to count, the rekindling of old flames in new, romantic settings. His hopeful insinuations about Ridge and Brooke reuniting hung in the air like fragrant jasmine, a subtle yet unmistakable pressure applied to wounds still raw from Ridge's recent, devastating rejection of Brooke's vulnerability. Brooke Logan, standing with her characteristic blend of elegance and wounded grace, felt the familiar ache beneath her ribs at Eric's well-meaning hints. Ridge's cold dismissal, his prioritization of his own conflicted feelings over their decades-long history, had left a bruise on her spirit that Eric's optimism couldn't quite soothe. The prospect of forced proximity with Ridge, under the watchful, expectant eyes of her extended family, felt less like a holiday and more like navigating an emotional minefield in stilettos. Yet, simultaneously, another current pulsed beneath her surface, the persistent, persuasive energy of Nick Marone. For weeks, Nick had been the counterpoint to Ridge's withdrawal, a steady, appreciative presence advocating not just for Brooke's formidable business acumen on potential European ventures, but fervently whispering promises of mixing business with pleasure under the Italian sun. He saw her, truly saw her, not just as Ridge's ex, or Hope's mother, or the CEO of Forrester Creations, but as Brooke Logan, a woman deserving of adoration, excitement, and a passionate new beginning far removed from the exhausting cycle of Ridge's indecision and rejection. His arguments were pragmatic on the surface, her expertise was invaluable for the expansion talks, but the subtext, the heat in his eyes, the lingering touch on her arm, spoke of a deeper, more personal ambition, to claim her heart amidst the ruins of her past. And then came Tuesday, the day Nick shifted from persuasive whispers to a breathtaking, operatic declaration of intent, a grand gesture meticulously crafted to shatter Brooke's defenses and plant the flag of possibility firmly in the fertile ground of her yearning for respect and desire. This grand gesture wasn't merely flowers or a whispered compliment, it was an event, a sensory bombardment designed to transport Brooke momentarily from the complexities of her life into a pure, unadulterated fantasy of being cherished. Imagine Brooke arriving at her office or perhaps a discreet, elegant private dining room, only to find it transformed. Perhaps it was filled not just with the deep red roses she favored, but hundreds of them, their velvety petals and heady scent creating an intoxicating atmosphere. Soft, romantic Italian music, a soaring aria or a delicate mandolin piece, might have filled the space. Then, Nick himself appeared, not in his usual sharp business attire, but looking effortlessly sophisticated, perhaps holding not just a proposal for the Italy trip, but a tangible symbol of the escape he offered. Maybe it was an exquisitely wrapped box containing a stunning, custom-designed piece of jewelry, not just expensive, but meaningful, reflecting her strength and beauty. Or perhaps it was two pristine, first-class tickets to Naples, held out not just as a business necessity, but as golden keys to a shared adventure. His words, delivered with a sincerity that cut through any residual cynicism, wouldn't focus on competing with Ridge, but on her radiance dimmed by recent pain, her incredible spirit deserving of uncomplicated joy, the vibrant woman he saw who deserved to be swept off her feet, not left waiting in the wings. He spoke of Capri's moonlit grottos waiting to be explored together, of shared laughter over Chianti, of discovering hidden trattorias and creating memories untouched by Forrester family drama. He promised her not just a trip, but a new chapter, a narrative written solely for Brooke Logan, where she was the undisputed protagonist, adored and pursued. He'd remind her of their undeniable chemistry, the ease and passion they'd shared before, framing Italy not as a consolation prize, but as the vibrant, sun-drenched prologue to a love story free from the ghosts of her past. The sheer scale of the effort, the undeniable romance of the setting, the laser focus on her happiness and potential, combined with the raw vulnerability in Nick's eyes as he laid his heart bare, struck Brooke with the force of a physical blow. She felt a dizzying swoon, not just of surprise, but of profound, disorienting temptation. Here was tangible proof of desire, an escape route from the painful limbo Ridge had consigned her to. Nick's gesture was a lifeline thrown to a woman drowning in rejection, offering warmth, excitement, and the intoxicating possibility of a fresh start with a man who wasn't pushing her away, but passionately pulling her close, who saw her worth and wasn't afraid to shout it from the rooftops, or fill a room with roses to prove it. In that suspended moment, surrounded by the evidence of Nick's devotion, the allure of stepping out of Ridge's shadow and into the Italian sunlight on Nick's arm felt less like a risk and more like a thrilling, necessary rebirth. The carefully constructed walls around her heart, battered by Ridge's coldness, visibly trembled. Flushed, her mind racing with the intoxicating possibilities Nick had unleashed, Brooke found herself later facing Eric and Ridge, perhaps during a family meeting finalizing trip details at the Forrester mansion. Eric, ever the optimist, was detailing museum visits or villa arrangements when Brooke, perhaps still slightly breathless from Nick's overwhelming display, interjected. Her voice, carrying a mix of residual excitement and deliberate nonchalance, delivered the news, "Oh, and it seems Nick will be joining us in Italy after all. He's finalized his plans for the expansion talks, and well, he's very much looking forward to the trip." The effect on Ridge Forrester was instantaneous and volcanic. It wasn't a slow burn, it was a detonation. His famously expressive face, usually a mask of brooding intensity or sardonic amusement, darkened like a thundercloud rolling over the Pacific. His jaw clenched so tightly a muscle pulsed visibly beneath his skin. The easy posture he'd adopted vanished, replaced by rigid tension. A low, guttural grumble escaped him, barely audible but dripping with pure, unadulterated venom. "Marone? Coming to Italy?" The words were spat out, laced with disbelief and burgeoning fury. Eric, perhaps sensing the impending storm but misreading its source as mere professional annoyance, tried to smooth things over with his characteristic diplomacy. "Well, Nick's expertise is valuable, Ridge, and it's a big opportunity." But Ridge wasn't hearing about business opportunities. All he heard was the echo of Nick's name linked to Brooke and Italy, the image of Nick's confident charm juxtaposed with Brooke's flustered, captivated reaction to his gesture burned into his mind. The already simmering animosity Ridge held for Nick, the younger man's history with Brooke, his persistent presence, his undeniable appeal, erupted into a white-hot flare of primal jealousy. This wasn't just irritation at a rival executive, this was the fierce, possessive instinct of a man confronted with the tangible threat of losing what he still considered his, regardless of his own recent actions. The thought of Nick sharing gondola rides under Venetian bridges with Brooke, whispering sweet nothings over candlelit dinners on a Capri terrace, basking in the Italian sun beside her while he, Ridge, was relegated to the sidelines, was an intolerable invasion, a direct challenge to his very identity. Nick's presence transformed the idyllic Italian getaway Eric envisioned into a potential battleground for Brooke's affections, a stage where Ridge's indecision could cost him everything. His jealousy wasn't subtle, it radiated from him in waves of palpable heat and simmering rage, a stark, dangerous contrast to Eric's forced joviality and Brooke's newly conflicted aura. He saw Nick not as a business associate, but as a predator circling his territory, and the thought of him infiltrating their family trip, leveraging Italy's romance to win Brooke, ignited a firestorm within Ridge that no amount of Eric's rationalizations could quench. "He doesn't belong there," Ridge finally ground out, his voice dangerously low, his eyes fixed on a point beyond the room, already envisioning the interloper amidst the lemon groves and ancient ruins, a green-eyed monster fully awakened and ready to roar. Therefore, as the wheels of the Forrester private jet prepare to lift off from Los Angeles, bound for the seductive shores of Italy, the atmosphere on board is anything but the harmonious vacation Eric so earnestly desires. It is a pressure cooker of unresolved history, ignited passions, and volatile rivalries. Brooke Logan sits amidst the luxury, a beautiful paradox of turmoil and temptation. Her heart, freshly bruised by Ridge's rejection, is simultaneously soothed and inflamed by Nick's grand, romantic declaration. The promise of a fresh start, of being truly wanted and pursued under the Mediterranean sun, shines like a beacon, offering an escape from the painful cycle of waiting for a man who pushes her away. Yet, the decades of history, the undeniable, often destructive pull towards Ridge, remains a powerful undercurrent she cannot simply ignore. Ridge Forrester, meanwhile, is a tightly coiled spring of jealousy and burgeoning panic. Nick's presence on the trip is a constant, grating reminder of his own inaction, a living, breathing threat to his assumed claim over Brooke. His jealousy, far from being a passive emotion, is a volatile accelerant waiting for the slightest spark. He watches Brooke, interprets every glance, every word exchanged with Nick, through the distorted lens of possessiveness, his resolve to keep her from Nick hardening even as his own path to winning her back remains frustratingly unclear. Nick Marone, confident and determined, sees Italy as his proving ground. He's played his grand opening hand, witnessed its impact on Brooke, and now intends to capitalize on the romantic setting, the distance from Forrester dramas, and Ridge's self-inflicted wounds. He plans to be the attentive, exciting alternative, the man who makes Brooke feel alive and desired, leveraging every sun-drenched moment, every intimate dinner, every moonlit stroll to erode her resistance and solidify his place in her future. And Eric, the well-intentioned patriarch, remains blissfully, perhaps willfully, unaware of the emotional tinderbox he's chaperoning to Naples. He sees the potential for reconciliation only through the narrow lens of Ridge and Brooke, blind to the potent new variable Nick represents and the explosive jealousy he has ignited in his son. The stage is set amidst the breathtaking beauty of Italy, the Amalfi Coast's dramatic vistas, Capri's glamorous isolation, Rome's eternal grandeur. Yet, the most compelling drama won't be found in the guidebooks, it will unfold in stolen glances across crowded piazzas, tense conversations echoing in ancient alleyways, and the silent, fierce battle for Brooke Logan's heart. Nick's grand gesture was the spark. Ridge's flaring jealousy is the oxygen. Brooke's wavering heart is the fuel. As the Italian adventure begins, the only certainty is that the picturesque landscapes will soon bear witness to a tempest of love, rivalry, and the shocking revelations that will force Ridge to confront the terrifying prospect of a future where Brooke chooses a passionate new beginning over waiting for his perpetually unresolved feelings. The green-eyed beast is awake, the rival is armed with romance, and the prize is a woman poised on the precipice of a decision that will redefine them all. The Italian sun promises warmth, but the emotional climate forecast is decidedly stormy. Ridge's heart for one woman, Liam's tumor truth revealed by Finn. While Ridge Forrester is reminded that his heart belongs to only one woman, Finn Finnegan will reveal the truth about Liam Spencer's tumor. Nick Marone's visit to the Forrester estate, where he speaks with Taylor Hayes on her involvement with Ridge, opens BNB's weekly promo. Nick will recommend ending the Ridgebrook redo thing once Taylor mentions her engagement. Taylor might concur, but she shouldn't have so much faith in Ridge's dedication to their future. This is due to Ridge's history of vacillating and ultimately reconciling with Brooke Logan. Eric Forrester will emphasize to Ridge that Brooke is the only person in the world for his son and remind him of his love for her at Forrester Creations. Although Ridge would contend that he has developed a unique bond with Taylor as well, Eric doesn't believe that their bond could ever match the bond Ridge has developed with Brooke over the years. Finn will discuss Liam, Grace Buckingham, and all of their unresolved concerns regarding Liam's experimental process with Bridget Forrester in the interim. There will be further investigation in the upcoming episodes because Bridget and Finn are both worried about how everything transpired. In the weekly preview video for BNB, a thoughtful Finn asks, "What really happened to you, Liam?" while examining Liam's brain scans on his laptop. In the upcoming episodes, Grace will struggle to keep all of her secrets hidden. Will Finn discover that Liam never had a brain tumor and that Grace is a fraudster? Stay tuned for updates on all the amazing news that Finn is certain to unearth, as Grace will eventually have to deal with some consequences. Grace's web of deception will soon come crashing down and the whole truth will be revealed. Dr. John Finn Finnegan, whose professional acumen and growing unease propel him towards a truth with seismic implications. Simultaneously, Ridge Forrester, the perennial patriarch perpetually torn between the gravitational pulls of two formidable women, finds his carefully reconstructed present with Taylor Hayes challenged by the inescapable echoes of a past defined by Brooke Logan, forcing a confrontation not just with external pressures but with the undeniable compass of his own turbulent heart. The catalyst ignites with Nick Marone's arrival at the Forrester mansion, a visitation far from casual. His conversation with Taylor pierces the veneer of her current contentment, directly addressing the specter of her engagement to Ridge. When Nick pointedly suggests this commitment should logically extinguish any lingering embers of the Ridgebrook redo thing, Taylor might outwardly project agreement, perhaps even a serene confidence in her reclaimed future. Yet, history whispers a cautionary tale that resonates far louder than any present promise. Ridge Forrester's romantic trajectory is less a straight line and more a dizzying, decades-long helix perpetually circling back to Brooke Logan. His waffling isn't merely a character flaw, it's a fundamental rhythm of his being, a testament to a connection so deep and persistently resilient that it has weathered countless betrayals, separations, and rival engagements. Taylor's belief in the solidity of their bond, while understandable given their recent reconciliation and shared history, dangerously overlooks this ingrained pattern, setting the stage for potential heartbreak as the forces aligning against their union gather strength. This pressure manifests powerfully within the hallowed halls of Forrester Creations, where Eric Forrester, the family's bedrock and keen observer of his son's romantic odyssey, delivers a sobering, unequivocal reminder. Eric doesn't mince words, he cuts to the core of Ridge's existential dilemma, forcefully reiterating the singular, enduring love Ridge harbors for Brooke. Eric's declaration that Brooke is the only person in the world for his son isn't mere opinion, it's presented as immutable truth, a verdict rendered by decades of witnessing the magnetic pull Ridge cannot ultimately deny, no matter how fervently he might try to build a new life with Taylor. Ridge will undoubtedly mount a defense, arguing for the validity and depth of what he shares with Taylor, the shared history, the rekindled passion, the vision of a future built on mutual understanding and forgiveness. Yet, Eric, embodying the weight of family legacy and the perspective of time, remains unmoved. In his eyes, no relationship Ridge constructs with Taylor, however genuine its current warmth, can ever eclipse or compete with the epic, tumultuous, yet undeniably profound saga he has lived with Brooke. Their bond, forged in fire and tempered by time, represents a fundamental pillar of the Forrester narrative, and Eric sees Ridge's attempts to sidestep it as ultimately futile, a temporary detour on an inevitable path back to his true north. While familial and romantic tensions simmer at Forrester Creations and the mansion, a different, equally potent investigation unfolds, spearheaded by the increasingly suspicious Finn. His conversation with Bridget Forrester is pivotal, shifting from casual concern to a focused inquisition into the baffling circumstances surrounding Liam Spencer's experimental cure. United by their medical backgrounds and shared unease, Bridget and Finn dissect the glaring inconsistencies and unanswered questions shrouding Liam's sudden recovery from his supposedly terminal brain tumor. How did the experimental procedure, orchestrated by the enigmatic Grace Buckingham, achieve such miraculous, instantaneous results where established medicine failed? Why the secrecy, the rushed timeline, the lack of verifiable documentation? Their professional skepticism transforms into determined resolve. The anomalies are too significant, the potential consequences too grave to ignore. The weekly preview offers a chilling glimpse into Finn's deepening probe, a shot of him, brow furrowed in intense concentration, scrutinizing Liam's brain scans on his laptop, the haunting question, "What really happened to you, Liam?" hanging in the air. This visual underscores the shift from suspicion to active forensic investigation. Finn isn't just speculating, he's methodically gathering evidence, using his medical expertise to dissect the digital proof Grace provided. Each pixel on those scans represents a potential clue, a digital footprint of deception waiting to be decoded. His question isn't rhetorical, it's the driving force of a truth seeker closing in on a meticulously constructed lie. The pressure on Grace Buckingham intensifies exponentially with every passing moment Finn spends analyzing data and conferring with Bridget. Her carefully woven tapestry of lies, designed to manipulate Liam and secure his presence through manufactured crisis, begins to fray at the edges under this relentless scrutiny. The facade of the concerned healer is cracking. The weight of her deception, the fear of exposure, and the desperate need to maintain control will become an unbearable burden. Can she convincingly deflect Finn's increasingly pointed questions? Can she fabricate plausible explanations for the inconsistencies Bridget will undoubtedly uncover? The promo suggests her composure is failing, the strain of guarding such a colossal, life-altering secret is visibly taking its toll. The central, explosive question Finn relentlessly pursues crystallizes: is Grace Buckingham running an elaborate, cruel scam? Did Liam Spencer ever actually have a malignant brain tumor? Finn's investigation points overwhelmingly towards the horrifying conclusion that the tumor was a fiction, a psychological weapon wielded by Grace to trap Liam in a cage of dependency and false gratitude. The implications of this potential revelation are staggering, promising not just emotional devastation for Liam, who rebuilt his life and relationships based on this traumatic lie, but also profound consequences for everyone entangled in Grace's web: Steffi, who supported Liam through his illness; Hope, who navigated complex emotions; and Finn himself, whose medical judgment was manipulated. Grace's inevitable reckoning looms large, the walls are closing in. Finn's meticulous investigation, fueled by professional integrity and growing outrage, is the unstoppable force hurtling towards Grace's fragile